Hey, so last week I said that I would be coloring the drawing that I've been working on, but we're gonna make a Dreamcatcher frame. Yay! I don't know about you, but I'm excited. I should do something with my hair. It's looking weird. The joys of growing things out. This is probably the first time I've put makeup on in like 2 years. Glasses. I tried. Points for me. Okay, this video is gonna be a little different. This video is gonna be a little bit different. We're going to attempt to make a Dreamcatcher frame. I'm not gonna actually tie the actual inside of the Dreamcatcher, it's just making the frame. I don't really want to do this today. I'd rather be drawing. I have all of my sticks here and I need to start wrapping them together before they become less bendy. It's Willow and I got some green stems so that they will indeed bend easily. Since they're cut, they will dry out within about a week, maybe a week and a half, and then they'll just snap when I try to bend them. So we're gonna make the shape now and let it sit around for a little while. The twigs will turn brown. Oh, this is interesting. That'll be that. I also have some apricot twigs here. Very interesting. These don't bend very much, so this is going to be a harder Dreamcatcher frame to make. We're not going to do it today because I just don't. So we're gonna focus on the Willow, try to bring you guys along with me. I don't have a particular way of doing it. It just kind of is however I can make it into a round shape is how it's gonna be. I do use hot glue very sparingly, and once it's all set, I try to scrape off as much of the hot glue as I can, because I think it kind of looks a little trashy with it in there. So I'm going to attempt to do this. I'm going to attempt to bring you along. This might be the most boring thing you've ever seen in your life. You might think, oh gee, this is a big waste of my time, and maybe it is. You're watching it, and I'm making it. Let's get started! Woo! See, look at that. You don't have to see my face for the full time either. Isn't that just great? Alright, got a whole bunch of these guys. I live near a canal where I plucked these guys from a dying tree. The tree's been dying for about half a year, so I only cut branches that were from the dying bit, of course, because you shouldn't go to trees that are perfectly healthy and cut things off of them. That's not very nice to the animals, insects, and people who rely on that tree being healthy. So if the tree is dying or if the tree has dropped something, then it's appropriate. But otherwise, you gotta give something back, otherwise you're just asking for some negative energy to come follow you home. I would also recommend washing anything that you bring home, if possible, even using some rubbing alcohol, like 70% or even like a 94%, just to really get anything out, because the worst thing in the world is to make, for example, a Dreamcatcher frame just to find that there was a spider's nest in one of the twigs and now it's a spider catcher. Starting off is always really freaking difficult. We're just going to sort these guys into small and thick. I'm going to attempt to do this and keep up a string of consciousness, keep up a conversation. This is going to really work my brain. So I guess what I wanted to talk about was last week's video. It's pretty fun to make, you know. I love talking about plants. It's one of my more annoying qualities is to just talk about them. I feel weird that you're just looking at my crotch. Raise me up so I can stand on mountains. What was I saying? Oh yeah, talked about my plants a lot last week. It's a little crunchy. That was a lot of talking that I had done. I'd done maybe like 30 minutes and cut it down to about 8. I know, I'm pretty impressed with my ability to ramble as well. Shit, what was I saying? I lose my stream of consciousness so quickly. It's kind of embarrassing. I went to bed that night and the next morning it had felt like the inside of my mouth was full of wet bread. It's the best way I can describe it, is wet bread, and that's disgusting. It's really disgusting. I brushed my teeth, but I didn't eat bread the day before. It was really kind of shocking what was going on. And I went to the bathroom and I spat out the bread. It turned out to be clots of blood. Mentions of blood, sorry. I'll put something in before I say it. So I spat out this clots of blood, and I washed my mouth out, and then, like, that was that. There was nothing else more. And I was thinking about it, and I brought up the topic to my mom and my sister, and I said, you know, this is disgusting. What do you think happened here? And they were like, oh, you must have had like a bloody nose during the night, and maybe since you don't have tonsils or adenoids, it just kind of settled in your mouth. This is gonna be really gross. This video is kind of gross and bendy. And my throat has been really hurting a lot. I do drink a lot of water now. Trying to be hydrated, carrying that thing around with me. My theory, my personal theory, since I haven't talked so much in literally 2 years, yes, I'm that isolated, that the back of my throat just got really raw. And what is this doing with a big stick? It's a tiny little stick. This is a tiny little stick too. Got raw and just bled. So I just think that I scratched my voice up a little bit, but I've been drinking some hot water, hot tea, warm water, cold tea, cold water. I've just been drinking a lot of stuff, hoping that it's going to work. And hopefully I don't have that experience again, because it was kind of freaky. Alright, while I've been talking, I've just been playing with these big sticks. I'm just trying to loosen them up, trying to make them a bit rounder, testing how far I can move them before I can hear something snapping. I got these 4 sticks. They're kind of gonna be like my base sticks, and then all these little sticks are gonna be wrapping around, keeping it all together. Yeah, so I'm gonna pull you guys down so you can see what I'm doing here. By the way, do you like my boots? Got buttons on them. If it looks like I'm really struggling to begin with, I am. Hope. I started this video with the intent of talking and making the Dreamcatcher at the same time, kind of as like a, oh yeah, you're hanging out with me as I make this. But when I looked over that video when it was done, it was over 45 minutes long. And I don't want to spend that much time talking to myself, and I'm sure you guys don't want to spend that much time listening to me talk about that to myself. So instead of talking and doing, I sped up the footage, and now I'm adding the talking. It would have been fun to go play by play, but I just didn't have the patience to deal with that, and just smushed it all together. Sorry! Maybe some other time when we do something less involved. I forgot how involved making a Dreamcatcher is. It was a good time to make that, and hopefully I hear back from this metaphysical shop and they tell me they want some of my stuff, because otherwise I just have a Dreamcatcher now extra. Guess I could put it in a box. I don't really want to talk about the process of it either, so instead I'm going to talk about Dragonheart, the movie from 1996. Yes, I am going to date myself by wanting to talk about Dragonheart. Dragonheart stars Dennis Quaid as Bowen, Sean Connery as Draco, the dragon, and David Thewlis, aka the stranger beast man who gives candy to minors in Harry Potter. He plays King Einon. And it has Pete as Gilbert of Godfrey. He's a great actor. Sorry, I can't pronounce his last name, but he's a great actor. Dragonheart was awesome. The CG is a little Disney's Dinosaur level. If you remember Dinosaur, considered one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my book. I hate that movie. I will never watch it again. Gave me nightmares when I did see it. Watched it, and those lemur things? No. Too uncanny valley for me. Those lemur things were just awful. Just the worst. But Dragonheart was really, really good. I'd love to watch it again. I haven't seen the other 2. Apparently there's 2 more. Dragonheart, A New Beginning from the lovely year of 2000. I bet that movie's just fantastic. And Dragonheart 3, The Sorcerer's Curse from 2015, which also sounds fantastic. But if you're looking for a movie that is amazing, that is timeless, go watch Dragonheart. You won't be disappointed. Go watch it. It's an hour and 48 minutes. Oh, now what to talk about? It's not really been much going on. Went to the bookstore today with my fam. It's a bookstore chain that I used to work at when I lived out in the Midwest. It's a great bookstore chain. I really enjoyed working for them. I would enjoy working for them again. It's a newer store. They don't really have many of that chain out here on the West Coast, and I hope they get more because it's a great company. I'm not getting paid to say this, by the way. I just think that they're great. I worked for them for 3 years, and it was one of the best jobs I ever had. Some time has passed since I made this video. The Dreamcatcher has dried and is turning brown, but some time has passed. Some days have moved on since I made this video. Looking back on it, I realized that I didn't really go into detail about why Dragonheart is amazing and go scene by scene, which was, you know, what parts were really, really good. Now that it's been, I don't know, 5 days later, I've lost interest in talking about Dragonheart. So, yeah. Oh, yes, another thing I wanted to say, happy Lammas to anybody out there that is celebrating Lammas. I hope everyone is enjoying the coming of autumn. I know I certainly am looking forward to it. Summer is fine, it's just way too hot. Spring's okay, but it's kind of wet. I'm really a fall and a winter baby, especially a winter baby. I love the cold. I love wrapping up in so many layers that you can barely move. I love the sound of snow crunching under the boots. I love watching the snow fall. I love the ice. Of course, this is coming from somebody who doesn't have to drive during the winter time. Now, I like it a bit more than when I used to drive in the winter time, back in the Midwest where it was really cold, where you would get polar vortexes with like -40-degree wind chills. You get 5 inches of ice on everything. Man, living in the Midwest during the winter, that is something. It's hard to describe, and you can't really pretend to understand just the level of sheer brutality of winter in the Midwest unless you've lived in the Midwest. I lived in the Midwest for 8 years, so I had 8 winters. At the time, I wanted to die, but looking back, it was actually really, really fun. Some of the funnest things that actually I did was during winter. There was this really, really fun thing you could do. We would put this hot water in the plastic cup, and you would throw it, and it would make a cloud. I'm serious, it would make a cloud. It was just amazing. Another really fun thing was blowing bubbles. The bubbles would freeze in the air, and then you could hold them. Blowing bubbles and holding them like glass little orbs. They were beautiful, and they had all the color striations inside of them and the color swirls, and man, that was really fun. Another thing was taking cold water and throwing it out a window, and it would turn into icicles before it would hit the ground. It would turn into ice, and that was very amazing to see. In the winter, it would get so cold that you would have to get out of your house every 2 hours and start your car and let your car run for about 30 minutes. Otherwise, your car will not run. It will be dead, and it will be very, very hard to bring it back to life because it's so cold there. I'm not trying to scare anybody out of going to the Midwest for the winter. You should do it. You know, take a vacation. Go to Minnesota. Go to Wisconsin. You know, go to Michigan. Go out there for like maybe 2 weeks and just really experience just that level of cold. So yeah, back to the past, I guess, with old me talking. Yeah, what else happened? Oh yeah, back to that bookstore. Picked up 3 new books. Picked up Fingersmith by Sarah Waters. She is a fantastic author. Right now I'm reading Tipping the Velvet, and maybe, if y'all are interested, I can do a book review on that. It's definitely a book that can be reviewed. So if you want to hear that, let me know. Also picked up a or unabridged version of Les Miserables, because I had an abridged version forever, and I was going to read it thinking it wasn't abridged, and then when I saw it, kind of having a conniption. But today I found an unabridged version, so I'm kind of excited, kind of hesitant. Victor Hugo, I've read Hunchback of Notre Dame, and 80% of the book is just the Notre Dame, and he wrote it to promote the cathedral, so it makes sense, but narratively, it kind of just feels like the narrative, like the plot stops, sits in the mud, so that we can admire the gargoyles, every single one of them, which is fine if you're an architecture buff or a Notre Dame buff, but if you want it for the story, it is very slow going book. And the last book I picked up was an all-in-one Lord of the Rings. I have been looking for an all-in-one Lord of the Rings for at least 3 years. I always find them in parts, and it drives me nuts. I just want it all in one fucking book. And finally, 3 years later, in that bookstore I went to today, shoved with 2 other ones that were also all 3 in one, just sitting there kindly waiting for me to pick it up. So I feel some gratitude and some excitement that that good fortune came my way. I don't know. Well, looking at the camera, it looks like I've been talking for about over 18 minutes. I'm gonna close it out here and get back to just me talking with the Dreamcatcher. It was great taking a moment just to ramble. I enjoy rambling. In the future, I will promise to try to have a specific topic, so that's just not all over the place. If that's something that you guys would appreciate. If you still want me to just go all over the place, I'm perfectly happy just word vomiting everywhere. Let me know down below in the comment things if you want. It's up to you what you want from me, what kind of content you want. Otherwise, it's just gonna keep doing this until it evolves into something else. So yeah. Hi! Thanks for hanging out with me. Making my hoop. And have this sit around in the corner for a while. It'll dry out. Boop, boop, boop. Be good. Thanks for hanging out. I will see you later. Bye!